stress tonight. Take some time tonight. Gotta get it right, baby, before we lose it. Take a plane tonight. Get away tonight. Take you to the moon and show you what I'm doing. Think about life in the moment. Living my life right now. I be like, shit's too important. No, you can't bring me down. Stop trying hard to please him. You could just be yourself. Right now you're someone else. Right now I'm riding through the city with my windows down. Something's in the air, I can feel that loud. Someone bring me back to life or we all go down. Something's gotta change, I can feel that loud. Yeah, I'll be upset when I see the news. I'm thinking my dad, cause he taught me to be patient with life. You need no approval. I'll be upset, I'll be upset. I'll be upset when I watch the movies. Movies set up to teach you to lose. I'm hard on myself, now I gotta choose to. I'll be upset.
All right, man. First of all, thanks for being here. Super awesome. Sitting here, I like to think of this as the cockpit, and to have someone that's on the Vaulted Vinyl family and a customer here. I'm just grateful to be here with you to talk. So
I appreciate the honor. Thank you.
Yeah. So beyond the collection, the way that I think about beyond the collection is that we all have a common thread. And for us, that common thread is collectibles, and more specifically Funko Pops. That's why we're here, right? It's like our paths cross because of that. But even kind of further into that, when we're in our niches of whether it be Facebook and Instagram collector space, or maybe New York Comic-Con, wherever that collector realm is, it's everyone kind of just knows each other from like the collectible space, and we're collectors and this and that, and maybe Vaulted Vinyl for me. I think the interesting thing here though is we're all kind of in this first person game, and we all have one life. And it's just our time in the sun, and this evolutionary process. We get one, and we all have these stories of our own lives, and collectibles is just a sliver of that. And it gives us a look inside the life that we've lived so far, and kind of what we've learned along the way.
I think that's really cool, man, because that's like that's almost like because people collect not just to collect, but because they're really passionate, and it's kind of like, with Funko Pops, like collecting Funko Pops, it's like every I feel like almost every Funko Pop sometimes might have a story with how you get them or not. And it's kind of like almost like a tattoo, like getting a tattoo. You get a tattoo because it's meaningful, and you know what I mean? So like getting these pops are kind of meaningful,
And yours specifically was an interesting one. I haven't seen, so is Trafalgar Law. You got it right here? Awesome, perfect. So this was the one pop that you said had the most emotional connection to you. And, you told the story a bit, and it was about how he was facing an ill fate, right? It seemed like just death at some point. It was looking kind of bleak until he met someone that believed in him and then gave him an op fruit. And I was, I haven't watched One Piece. I haven't seen it.
Oh, you got to watch it, man.
I looked it up, and I was reading about it. And then the op fruit seems like when you eat it, you have the ability to like create this room and kind of like control everything.
It's meant to be for a doctor, really,
Okay.
So what happened was Trafalgar Law, he came from a town where it was just, I think it was poisoned with white lead, and a lot of people, they were rich in it, and then it made the town rich and everything like that. And then basically, like, everybody, it was very resourceful, the town was thriving, but then later on, like, the government didn't tell everybody that it would secretly poison you over time. So everybody was dying off and stuff like that. And then he met this guy named Corazon, who was part of a gang, Doflamingo's gang. And, at first it was like a love-hate relationship. They didn't like each other, whatever. But then, like, Trafalgar Law was kind of meant for something more, because he's got the letter D in his name for destiny. Mm-hmm. And there's certain characters in when you watch it, you'll see that they're meant for something more. So further down the line, they become friends, and they strive. And he realized that, like, Trafalgar Law, he shouldn't really let him die. And they bond over it. And he's like, there's one thing that can save you, which is the op fruit. So they try, like, Corazon tries his hardest to, like, maneuver and make certain moves and try to get Trafalgar Law this op fruit, and he doesn't want it, he's just, he's very like humble and everything, but he like forces it onto him, and he's like, you're chosen, I need you to live because you have purpose, and
Mhm.
that kind of hit me a little bit because like I have a twin brother named Lewis, and we're adopted and stuff like that, but me and him, so it's always I always feel like it's always been kind of me and him growing up, and it's I've been so fortunate to be able to lean on him, and he's always pushing me, like every day, everybody, you go through your life, and you work and you do this and stuff like that, but then sometimes there's always hard times where you fall down on yourself, and you kind of sit there and you're like, why am I here? Or what I mean, what's my reason for living and all that other stuff, not to get super dark, but
No, it's
but
real. Yeah.
with him, I'm able to, he kind of brings me back into reality. It's like, hey man, there's so much more for you out there. Like, like sometimes, the
Is he an
negativity gets
older
you,
brother or a
but
younger brother?
he's technically older. He's older by a minute. So he raced out of there first, and then I came to him after. Yeah.
How old are you guys?
I'm 31 now. Yeah.
31. When was the time where you were going through a tough time? We all do. When was that time? How long ago was that? Was it recent?
It
Was it
was
in the past?
actually it was actually when I was turning 30. I was
Okay.
turning 30. I'm gonna, I was turning 30 and my birthday was coming up, and I say to myself, like, everybody makes certain goals, and you say, listen, before I reach this age, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I want to be this place, or I want to reach this job or whatever. And so like the time came for me, and I was like, I don't know what's like I said like I just got hit with a wave of depression where I was just like, okay, I'm not where I want to be right now. I thought I would be in a better place, and stuff like that, and it just wasn't for me. My brother, he saw all that stuff over time, and he saw me kind of like, slouching and stuff, and then like on his own, he just one day brought me the pop, and he's like, listen man, I know that life's not really planning out the way you want to plan out just yet, but there's still so much more to life. And like, just don't give up on it just because, you reach the threshold of like 30, and there's so much more that you can be doing. And he kind of like snapped me in and put me back into reality. And like, all right, 30, big whoop, I still got so much time left to ace out and do what I need to do. And that was about like, yeah, like a year and a half ago now. And from since then, since he gave me this pop, and I was so surprised because it's such an expensive pop. Uh, it just reminded me that like, yeah, man, what am I doing? Snap out of it. Like,
Mm,
there's much more to life. That you can, always bring yourself up. It's not over, even when you think it's over,
hmm.
and you just got to keep like putting your foot forward and just not, because like there's so much negativity swirling around every day with, so you just gotta like kind of just like push past it, and just be like, there's so much more. I want to do so much more things with my brother Lewis, and just focus on that, and he's got a love for pops too, so
What are
it's
those
kind of
things you want to
good.
do with your brother?
I would like to travel, I want to be able to take him. We talk about going to seeing the Colosseum
Yeah.
in Italy. So I want to go
Yep.
see, I want to go there I want to take him there. He's never been there. I've never, we're not big travelers and stuff. So I want to be able to go see it, show him the Colosseum, and just like, I don't know, like we like little history stuff. So like just to see something that was like made and all that other stuff. And definitely want to check out also another big thing is the Aztec pyramids in Mexico.
Hmm.
It's just like weird how those things are built and how they, how that civilization disappeared and all that stuff. Just stuff to make us realize that like there's so much more out there to see.
To share a little bit of my experience with that is like what really kind of brings me back into a place of like understanding is when I look to the sky. Like when I look
Yeah.
out and see the stars and I look into space, even just looking at the moon through binoculars, it's like, oh my gosh,
Oh
it's like
man.
it is. Have you had the opportunity to go out and like look through a telescope or binoculars?
I've been to a space exhibit in the city a couple of years ago, and I was just like mind blown and like looking at the planets, and I was able to look through like a little telescope and all that stuff at the night when it was nighttime, and it was really cool, and it just makes you wonder like there's so like we're such a little speck, but there's so much more out there to like, and it kind of like brings you back to like why you should just like keep pushing forward to live and everything. It's like there's so much out there that we don't know, that I want to know, that you want to get to know, and that like once you start to learn all that stuff like every day, it's just like another more reason to keep pushing forward, because it's like such an amazing experience once you start to discover those things. And then if you can share them with other people too, like, you know, me and my brother and all that stuff. So it just becomes even more meaningful and just like a big reminder of like, you know, we're in a small place, but there's so much out there.
What are some of those things that you're looking to find out, or what are those things that you found out so far?
Let me see. It just comes down to like I just want to be able to like I think for example Anime Con. I live in New York, so Anime Con's coming up next, and that's like an event that I can really look forward to with my brother, in the and it's going to be held in the Javits Center, and
Hmm.
like just to have that brotherly bond, go there and just have our share our love for anime and stuff like that, and just like go, and maybe I can get him a cool pop, or maybe he can get me a cool pop or something like that. And also like meet I want to go meet I've never met Chris Sabat, who voices Vegeta and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So I want to like be able to meet that guy in person, his hand, and say, man, you're like the voice of my childhood, man, you know, and stuff like that. And just basically like just have little moments like that, man. Like I want to see my brother eventually, you know, get married and you know, have kids and all that stuff too. So he's, you know, quite serious with his girlfriend and stuff. So you know, just like little things like that, you know, and
Hmm.
just another reminder, just keep pushing forward and stuff.
Right. It seems like there's a lot of times where we can get really, really outside of our the present, really, and like really,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's the tough
sometimes,
part.
yeah.
We can
Sometimes you
either
can get
get
real caught up in the fog, you know. That's why like I try not to listen to the news too much or whatever and all that stuff. And you know, it's like I tell you, man, like you know, I have a decent job and everything like that. And but sometimes it can feel very robotic, you know, almost, you know. You do what you gotta do, you work, you save your money, you come home, you know, and it's just after a while, just like, you know, so that's why you gotta like kind of have to do things or just like maybe adventure out and just you know figure things out and learn about new things just to keep yourself like how do you say like in not in that state of mind in that state of place, you know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
like it's just better to like I just say like that's why it's cool to like learn new things and go out and be adventurous and everything like that, so that way you realize that things don't have to be so robotic, you know, and you're more than just you know just like going to work and you know and like just you know like just pushing forward really, just trying to figure out like there's so much more to life, you know, in general.
You got any dreams?
uh yeah, man, I'm trying right now, trying to see if I could become a cop, so that'd
Yeah.
be really cool. Yeah, I just took the test and stuff like that, so I'm hoping that things really it's almost like it's almost lame to say, man, like I'm a big Marvel buff and all that other stuff, and I love heroes and growing up and watching everybody like Batman and you know all that stuff, and you know so and Captain America is one of my biggest favorite dudes, but I'm just saying like if I can grow up and just not like you know I don't want to be like heroic, like I just want to be able to help somebody, you know what I mean? And like the cops that we do and they're here and they help people every day, man, and you know and like I'm inspired by what they do and you know recently 9/11 was recently and stuff like that, but just like I just my dream is to become a cop and just to try to be helpful, you know, or even if I can't do that, or maybe just sheriff or something, you know, just
Is
be
it like is it
helpful.
a New York City cop or any kind of cop, or
Yeah, like right,
what
yeah,
does the
like
vision
well,
look like?
yeah, for me, it's like a cool like New York City cop, you know, like walking the beat, you know. Maybe if I get lucky, I'll get Times Square, you know, or
Uh
something
huh.
like that, and just seeing the lights, being in the uniform, you know, even being out there in the cold, sometimes walking the beat or whatever, you know, just being able to help people or direct people or and stuff like that, and maybe you know, 20 years down the line, I'll have my own little office and be, you know, eventually, like if I get in the NYPD, I'd like to be the detective, you know,
Uh
and
huh.
solving crimes and be my own like little version of like the question from DC or something, you know, like just yeah. So
How often do you think about that?
quite often, you know, because like sometimes when I get down on myself, I gotta think like, hey man, that's the goal, you know, and you want to just like strive for it, push for it. You being in this negative space and like this isn't really gonna help anybody. It's definitely gonna slow you down, you know. So and then my brother's also a big helper too, you know, he's pushing me and stuff like that. He always makes jokes from time to time. He's like, listen, man, if I get a speeding ticket, who's gonna get me out of it? I need you to, you know, like, you know, making jokes like that and stuff. So but yeah, man, I'd love to be like maybe you know an NYPD in the big city and maybe like be a detective and stuff. So that'd be kind of cool.
How long's that been the dream for you?
I want to say like ever since I was like I'd say it hit me like when I was like little, like 10, you know, because then I really got into comic books and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and I started
Yeah.
reading about Captain America a lot. And then like as I got older into my teenage years and stuff like that, I was like like how do I perform my own version of justice, and how do I, like, do the right thing and help other people? And I realized that, duh, like, we don't need to live in that world of like Marvel or DC. We have everyday heroes out there that, like, they're, firemen, ambulance, medics, all that stuff, cops, detectives, like the Navy, the Army, all those guys they're heroes, and they're here now, and they're helping people every day, and saving people, and doing the right thing. So, I'm very appreciative of them and all the services. And, so it's just like, kind of like a little reminder, like I can be one of those guys, so.
Do you feel like, I asked because I'm curious, right? Because I'm a dreamer too, and through my life, one of my big dreams initially was baseball. I wanted to be a professional baseball
Oh
player.
yeah.
I wanted to play in the big leagues. And I grew up in Iowa, and I
Okay,
graduated
okay.
with probably 80 kids in my high school. You're in New York, you probably graduated thousands. I don't.
Oh yeah, yeah. Big,
Yeah.
big, big classes and stuff like that,
So,
dude.
so this was a high school that everyone kind of knew each other. I loved baseball. It was my everything. It was like my
Yeah.
dream, like you were having with being a police officer or a detective. And I went and I chased it down. And I was drafted in 2015 by the Pirates, and I got to live out that dream. And then, like, the arc of that story, like the hero's journey, and it
Yeah.
seems like throughout that journey, there's a lot of those dark times where it's like, is this it? Like, is this it?
Yeah.
Um, and then it seems like there's something along the lines of, like, when you give it everything you got, and this is just what I've noticed throughout my journey, this is just my experience and my notes, is when
Yeah.
you give it everything you got, it seems like the people that are necessary to make those dreams happen, or you live the life that you want to live, they seem to come about. And for
Yeah.
me, looking back, it's a lot of different people, and it's just different opportunities that are presented, or just words of encouragement or belief. And it sounds like your brother Lewis is one of those that's right along with you, alongside the journey with you, and speaking belief into you.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, I'm very fortunate. Like, there's people out there that have brothers and sisters. To be a twin is like a totally different thing, man. And it's kind of like stereotypical. Like, yeah, sometimes we can't finish each other's sentences, and like, I don't need to be near him to know if he's feeling all right or what, and all that other stuff. Sometimes I give him a call. I'm like, hey, man, how you doing? You doing all right today? Are you feeling a little low? And he's like, hi, yeah, how'd you know? I'm like, I don't know, man. I just got a vibe, or you know what I mean? So with him being my twin brother, it's just like I feel very fortunate to have somebody like him, and just be able to lean back on him. And it's like he's doing all this work and giving me all this talk, and pushing me, just another reminder that I can be that kind of rock for him too. I gotta be able to make it, to be strong, to be believing myself, so that way, you know what I mean, because it can't just work one way. I got to be able to do it so that way he can do it too. I
Mhm.
got to propel him, because if he's pushing me, then I'm pushing him, and then it becomes a force of, like, we're both doing the right thing to push each other. And that way, I know that if I'm gonna make it in life, he's definitely gonna make it in life, because there's no way we're not gonna let each other not make it. You know what I mean? So
It seems like people, like, growing together with others is so vital. Um, but
yeah,
there's also this other side of it where it's internal and it's all inside, and it's like trying to
yeah.
figure out the truth of ourselves and trying to figure out who we are
That's
and
true,
why.
man. It's like
Mhm.
sometimes I say to myself, like, why did, like, we're twins. Why did God put, whoever put us here? It's like, and it's like we don't know. We're kind of like, I feel like we're at, like, almost like a video game. You start and you just got to play yourself, and there's no directives. You just kind of like figure everything out yourself and hope for the best. And so, like, all right, we're playing this game, and there's some highs and lows, but I think I reached a level where I'm like, I have my brother, and he's got me, and we're gonna make it through the levels, and kind of blast through life and stuff.
when
So
you're when you're going through because it seems cyclical, right? It's dark time and then good time and dark time.
yeah,
It's
no,
just.
it's just
Yep.
it's always revolving.
Right. And it seems like, as we go through the dark times, it seems, for me, it's like I try to learn something every time I'm in there. And it feels horrible every time I'm in there, right?
Yeah.
Just, but it's like, what can I learn here that I can use next time? Because next time will come around. Um, for you, when it's dark and the negative emotions are in there for you, what is it outside of your brother? What is it that helps you push through?
Uh, a lot of it is like, and this is like everybody deals with this every day. So, like, I don't feel like I'm just like, why me, boo, only me. Like, I sit back and I kind of calm myself down. And I'm like, listen, man, there's not one person out there that's not going through the same thing you're going through, or they're going through another tough moment or whatever. Of like, sometimes it hits us hard. Like, why do we exist? Why do we, what's my purpose? What's this and all that? And I just got to take a second to breathe and be like, I take a second to breathe and I just close my eyes and then I open them and I'm like, say to myself, all right, do I really have it that bad? Look where I am. I'm not homeless. I'm not this, then you got to start bringing up the positives. All right, I'm a little slow in this, but I can make, in a couple months from now, I'll be in a better place if I save up or I reach for that goal. And then you got to kind of slowly bring yourself back to be like, listen, man, I don't, maybe it's not so bad, because it's so easy for everybody to just, sometimes I got friends who like sometimes they just find themselves complaining and I'm like, they're like, I'm sorry I'm complaining so much. I know. I'm like, listen, man, it's perfectly natural. Everybody feels that type of way where they're either unsatisfied with what's going on right now. And you just gotta like kind of put yourself back into reality and be like, listen, it's not so bad. Give it some time. I'll get there, you know. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
not everything has to be a race. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's a good way to just like set yourself back into motion and like, all right, I was a little distracted, but I'm good now. I'm in a good place.
It's tough to be patient, man. It
Yeah,
really
dude,
is. It's so tough,
it's so hard.
especially with tech.
Sometimes things come fast for other people. They have more success and stuff like that. And you see it every day, man. Sometimes like some people get more success or they get, more fortunate than you or whatever it is. But like you can't like be. It's a big thing to not let that discourage you, and it's also don't let it change who you are because you don't want to be stingy of others. You don't want to like be jealous of other people. You don't want to be like why him and not me? You don't want to be like that. I'm appreciative. If somebody is more fortunate than I am, then bless them, and I hope it works out for them. And eventually it's gonna click for me, and then that's just the way you got to keep going. You can't like you never want to be like a hateful person of other people. Even if
Hmm.
they're like more fortunate than you or whatever. Everything's for a reason. So
I agree, and again, it's it's a tough thing to not fall into. I think
yeah,
everybody does at one point or the other. And concerning one, comparing ourselves to others, never good, right?
yeah,
And
never
then
good.
also concerning ourselves with other people's opinions. It seems like we need to get to a place um, where it is just you're just inside your own mind, and like it seems to me that we need to get to a place where it's like we like fear is you detach from fear.
Oh man, yeah,
And that's what I'm trying to figure out, right now as we go through
yeah,
life. It's like, okay, so like I'm trying to navigate negative emotions, and I'm piecing through my thoughts and how I feel and why I feel certain ways. And it always seems to come back down to there's this element of fear in there
yeah,
for
yeah.
one way or the other. What is it for you that kind of gets you into the dark spots, the negative emotions coming in where it just feels heavy and it feels shitty?
Yeah, sometimes, man, sometimes, sometimes it's either like if I had a tough day at work, uh, then you start to you start to say to yourself like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this or whatever? Like, what am I doing? I could be doing something better than this or whatever. And then you just gotta like kind of bring yourself into reality. Like, listen, man, it's a good paying job. You got benefits and all that other stuff. You had a bad day. Shake it off, bro. Don't let it discourage you. Like, like I'm doing this right now. I'm being hopeful. I want to become a cop. I want to become a detective. So I'm letting that process play out. In the meantime, I'm still making good money and I'm having a good job and benefits. So then you gotta like separate like, the good and the evil, like it's not so bad. You gotta keep reminding yourself it's not so bad because like, and that too, just like everyday other stuff. Sometimes you see the news, you see stuff going on in the news, or you watch stuff or you hear stuff on the radio, and it's just everything's so negative. And it's so easy to like sometimes all it takes is one little thought. It just balloons into your head, and then you're just like, why am I here? What am I living for? All this other, and then it's just like this negativity. It's so easy. It spreads fast, man. It's almost like a virus. And then you gotta like catch it and be like, whoa, let's not fall off the edge here. And then you got to bring yourself back to reality and just try to push forward. And it's so much easier when you can do that when you have other people to talk to, or you can go to therapy. There's nothing wrong with going to therapy. You just, anything and everything, even like maybe decompressing, come home to play some video games and get your mind off, a couple of things, just to snap you back into that reality. So that way you don't fall into like, darkness, and just, you can kind of just break out of it.
It seems like I have to be very aware of the inputs that I'm putting in. So for
Yeah.
me, it's like it comes down to the music I'm listening to, the
Yeah.
YouTube videos I'm watching, any kind of sounds that are coming in, anything I'm
Yeah.
watching. Because like you said, it could be anything.
Like you know what? When I find myself like, like like you said, you got to choose what you listen to, or choose what you read, or choose what it's like you have your choice to surround yourself with certain things, and if you don't pay attention to it, then you find yourself being surrounded by a negative space or negative like stuff. For me, I like comedy. I like comedy a lot. I find myself falling into comedy, so I can just like pick up and laugh, because like comedians have a lot of highs and lows. I like to follow Tom Segura or Bert Kreischer. They also have a podcast called Two Bears One Cave. They're great. And those guys, even though they've made it, they're very successful. When they talk, when you hear them talk and discuss about their they give you a big reminder, like they're just everyday people, just like me, just like you, and they have their highs and lows, and like they're very, but they can spin things into a very, comedic line or comedic sense, which is great. So and like listening to them and just gives me like a sense of like, like, oh yeah, that sucked. It's funny, but I should really laugh at it more than just be upset or maybe get really mad, or, and just move on, And so to me, I kind of turn the comedy to kind of escape the darkness and kind of put a nice twist. It's like you're almost getting back at it by putting a nice twist to it, where you can
Mhm.
laugh on it, laugh about it, and then move on.
Yep, and like helps get perspective on the situation.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
Belief in yourself. I know Lewis has helped you install that, especially during in the bad times.
Oh yeah.
What talk about self belief? Talk about that. What is it to you? And like, just give me your thoughts on self belief.
To me, self-believing is like, it's like when you take a real, like almost like, like you're looking at the mirror, you're looking back at yourself, and you got this one life, you got this one purpose, you got to figure it out, and it's, there's nobody controlling you. It's you, you are the master of your life. You have to put yourself in perspective of like what you want to do, how you want to feel, whether you're gonna how are you going to just go about life in general, either working or just doing everyday life or jogging or exercising or whatever. Like, so sometimes, I'll come home and I won't feel good about myself or something like that. And, but then I'll say, you know what, let's get out. Let's get out. It's too stuffy in here. Let's get out, go for a run or something like that. Then I feel better, I made that decision to make myself feel better, so, and that gives me like almost like a boost of confidence, because it's like, it's up to me, man. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in who you are, and that you're more than what, people might think that there's no limit to what you can be also. And then like, if success doesn't come to you right away, it's going to come, as long as but you have to push, It's like I got to say, it's like you have to become almost your biggest fan yourself, like, no one else is gonna like root for you, so you got to root for yourself, cheer for yourself, push yourself. And then, that's what self-believing to me is. You look at yourself and be like, hey Frank, I like Frank. Oh cool, I like Frank too. All right, cool, let's just push forward, man, and just let's get through this. So that's what self-believing is, because I feel like if you reach that level with yourself, then you can do anything.
Yeah, and for like I said, for me, that kind of journey of self belief and trying to just chase lofty goals or whatever that may be, just
Yeah.
having a North Star and just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until you get that North Star. Because it seems like it aligns internally with you. When
Oh
like
yeah.
that's the thing, like I'm sure with being a police officer, detective in your future, you're 100%. You're gonna be that. If that's what you
Yeah.
want, you're gonna be it. And I'm sure that's probably what you feel as well. Like you could feel that in your gut,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
you
it's
definitely feel
right.
it. Yeah, and you just want to push forward, and it forces you to like make certain decisions, and you kind of start little by little forging your own path as the days go by, as days go on and stuff. Like you have vaulted vinyl, and like, like the baseball thing might have not like maybe worked out for you or whatever, but like you got this like great company, and like I use your product to like, to like basically protect my passion here is what say basically, but that's what it is, and I got to tell you, man, your company is such a great company, and I can't like, if you ever have a moment where you say to yourself like, what am I doing, or you're down, like, dude, you created this big, and not an empire, but like, this big company that you're helping people, man, by protecting their stuff and giving them like purpose and stuff like that. And then doing this like, I've been so honored to even be selected. I'm so surprised you even read my story. Like I just, you're helping so many people by even doing this, and just opening your mind and having these conversations, man. I got to tell you that, you as a CEO, doing this, you're doing some incredible things, and I'm very thankful and very honored, man. And I feel like if you ever have a moment where you're down on yourself, just like, you know, come down and talk to yourself and say that you're doing some pretty awesome things out there, man, and you're helping a lot of people more than you know.
Man,
So
that'll get me emotional, man, talking about
yeah,
that. Thank you. I really, 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 really appreciate that. Um, it through the journey of life, okay, through the baseball story, baseball ending was the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm here, I'm
yeah,
doing this now. And as I continue to go throughout life, I'll continue to learn just as you do. Um, and man, it just grateful for the journey and the people I meet along the way. And like
yeah.
you were saying, if I can have a positive impact on one life, if I could have an impact that maybe helps someone think differently or have a different perspective, that they can use something in their life. I mean, that is so worth it. But you sitting here today have done that for me.
Man, you're like, sometimes people think that like other people aren't listening, or you know what I mean, like we don't matter or stuff like that. And like, I feel like you are a reason where, like, for people not to think that way, you are like, you give people, you give me hope, and you give me like such like a boost of morale, and just like, hey man, there's people out there listening, it's like, you never know. And you're like one of those things where, like, it just, you never know, so it was really cool that you responded and stuff like that. And it's just like, you got your, got your company and stuff like that. You got so much an everyday business to run and everything like that. So like, I'm surprised, you didn't really have to, but you did, and you did it because you're a passionate guy, and you love your passion, you love your work, and you're trying to prove a point to people that, there's stories out there to be heard and everything. And so if I can pass it on to other people, I'll be like, hey man, there's people out there listening, like, give it a shot, and don't think so negatively.
I think got one life, man, and we all have one experience, and we have different things. For me right now, it's vaulted vinyl, it was baseball, and have a positive impact on people, and other people are doing other things, and they're learning throughout the way. And what's
Yeah,
interesting is that we all go through similar things, and you going through dark times, and learning from your brother, and then your pop, that is a reminder to always believe in yourself and keep
oh,
pushing.
definitely, yeah. It's like, having when he gave me this pop, I was like, wow, he really understands me, and he gets it. And it's like, it just gave me, like, if he made it, I can make it too, and he found his purpose, and I'm gonna find my purpose too, and then I'm gonna make sure that my brother finds his purpose also, and then so if I say I want to become a cop and become a detective, I'm gonna make it happen, If my brother wants to travel and go see certain places, and we'll do it together, we'll make it happen together, and that's what it's all about, man. Just trying to push forward.
Yes. When are you expecting to hear back about the police job?
uh I took it a while back, so it's gonna be, they should be reaching out maybe in a couple months from now and stuff like that. It's been a while now. I took it I think over the summer.
What's the
So,
next? I'm curious. I'm curious now. I'm all about dreams, so I'm curious. What's the process look like now? You sent it in, and then they're going to send it
oh yeah,
back
you
and say
send it
yes
in,
or no,
and
or
yeah, you send it in, and then usually they get back to you, letting you know you passed, and then maybe you gotta sign up for some background check, and then once they do the background check, that becomes like a health thing, and then you got to go for a health thing, and then you got to go for a fitness test, and you go for a fitness test. They give you like a little obstacle course, and it's like you gotta run, you gotta run, you gotta jump over stuff. I believe you're gonna have to. They give you like a fake weapon, but it gives you the actual feel of the trigger of a gun, and you got to learn how to, like, see if how many times you can push that and stuff like that. And just like, once you do the physical stuff, then becomes like a psychological evaluation and stuff like that. And once you pass all that stuff, then you can join the academy. Once you get into the academy, like then I would, at that point, I'd be like quitting my job or whatever, because like the academy, it's like it pays you, but still you got to do the academy. Then you give your all at the academy. Fingers crossed everything works out. You pass, and then one day I'll be in that little graduation ceremony and throw my cap in the air, and I'll be a cop.
Right here, we're gonna get it. Give me a date that you become a police officer.
Hopefully, I'd say it's yeah, let's say I'd say by October next year. We'll see.
I'm gonna text you in October of 2022.
I appreciate that, man.
And you're gonna text me back and say, I'm a New York City police officer.
Yeah. All right, fingers crossed, man. I'm hoping that gives me even more push to do it, man.
Keep believing, man. Keep feeling it.
Thank you, man.
Frank, it's been an absolute pleasure. I gotta jump, but if you need anything from me, anything at all, product, if you have questions, whatever, hit me up. I'm open. You got it.
I really appreciate that, man. I mean, I just met you recently, but I feel like you feel like a real good friend, man. And I really appreciate what you're doing. And you with your company, you're just not some big company that's just you're running things smoothly and just like flying under the radar. You're like really making yourself known out there. You're pushing to hear these people's stories, and me, I've been very fortunate for you to listen to my story, and I feel very honored. And I hope that there's be a lot more people on the way to maybe feel comfortable to have, share their story and feel courage. And if anybody out there feeling low on themselves, just maybe let this be a reminder to like, hey man, like just push forward. It'll be all right. It's not so bad after all. So I thank you for what you're doing. And I really appreciate that. You're doing great things with your company, man. Thank you.
I really appreciate that. You're going to help a lot of people.
All right.
You're going to help a lot of people. All right, Frank, take care, man. Thank you.
Take care, man.
Yeah, we'll see you.